I had heard of a lady in pink who'd dance on an old wooden floor, and those that had seen her said her grace made their hearts soar. When I made my way to North Adams and I saw her with my own eyes, I wouldn't call it love at first sight, but her enchantment I couldn't deny. It was a rare opportunity to be her partner for a dance, and on that day I saw her, I'd be denied my chance. I knew it wouldn't be long before she'd dance no more, and my odds of joining her were becoming quite poor. But near the end of her run, there was one last spot. This would be my last chance, was my prevailing thought. So on to North Adams I went once again, hoping that this time would have a different end. Laying eyes on her once more, the emotions were the same, and that's when I learned that sweet Redemption was her name. I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. After having been spited in the past, it's time for a return to MASS MoCA for a second chance at a very rare coaster riding opportunity. We'll take a look back at the struggle that was attempting to gain this coaster credit, then go on a quick journey for a shot at Redemption, which also gave a chance to make a stop in a new destination and explore the town of this rare coaster experience a little more closely. As I mentioned previously when Erica and I made our way to MASS MoCA before Super Duper Stumble, the E.J. Hill exhibit Break Run Helix was a limited time feature of the museum, with the run scheduled to end in January of 2024. And after I wasn't able to ride it, I would certainly try again before the exhibit was finished. What I didn't really go too deep into was the struggle to try and get there in the first place that made the disappointment of not riding it even worse. Because of the limited operation of one rider per hour, I knew that I wanted to try to get there sooner rather than later, so I made some plans to head over there within a month or two of its opening. This began a series of reservations and cancellations, which happened at least 3 times, because either the flight loads for going standby weren't in my favor, and there could have been a couple more situations like I found myself when trying to get to Stumbles of Fun. Or because I'd have a last-minute chance at some tour work that I couldn't turn down, as I needed to make up for a slower off-season whenever I could. Then the chance to finally get there came, and, well, you might already know how that went. What sounded like it would only take a day or two to fix, or maybe a week at the most, ended up taking several weeks, and every return to the website with it still being under maintenance, I saw that window of opportunity was quickly closing. I started to accept that perhaps this wasn't meant to be, until a glimmer of hope came in the form of the website no longer listing it as down, and the ability to make reservations came back. They even extended the exhibit by nearly a month, so that improved my chances a decent bit. Going into December, I made a reservation for the 17th, even though I knew that this could fall through because of flight loads leading up to the busy holiday travel season. And it did just that. So then I made a reservation for January 6th, and I thought that surely this would be an easier time to have more flight availability, since it would be the weekend after the main holiday travel season. Well, that part held true, but Mother Nature decided to dump a ton of snow the night I would have been sleeping in Albany or Boston, and could have stranded me in either city, meaning I'd miss my next day's class. So rather than to risk it, I decided to pursue one of the dates I had open later in the month. So that left me waiting until the last week of the run to become available. And because I didn't catch the times going online for those dates as quickly as others, all the weekend slots were gone, leaving me with only Wednesday, February 7th or Thursday, February 8th to choose from. Since I had Wednesday classes, it had become pretty obvious which one I'd have to do. And even that would come into jeopardy, as I was scheduled for a CDL test I needed to do to gain my school bus endorsement the next day. So at that point, it seemed that all hope was lost. But like a football game, when it seems like the home team is out of it, the metaphorical game-changing interception arrived when one of my fellow trainees had to drop their appointment, and I was able to switch into their spot. So that took the schedule conflict off of the list of reasons for past failures to ride Brava for this final attempt. And that set up my Hail Mary throw of a journey back to Massachusetts for one final shot at coaster riding Redemption with Brava. As I made my way to the airport, The next item off of the reasons for past failures would also be off of the list, and it was a fairly easy one thanks to Delta's flight to Boston, having around 50 open seats.
And this is another venture that's made possible, thanks to Philip.
But it didn't keep me from making a small mistake in going through security.
I didn't look at the sign right. I thought line 1 was open. Gotta do a little bit of backtracking, but get some extra steps out of it before I get on this overnight flight.
Fortunately, the main TSA pre-check line was pretty light, so I had no problem getting to the gate with time to spare. But I was in for a bit of bad news right before boarding.
Stuck in the middle, but at least I'll get there.
Yeah, unfortunately weight and balance issues were stated as the reason. So I knew right away this wouldn't be the ideal flight with getting stuck in the middle on a red-eye.
I'm not going to claim to know for sure what happens in the afterlife, but I do hope that whoever invented the middle seat has to spend the rest of eternity stuck in the middle seat, because that is atrocious. I obviously didn't get much sleep last night. I pretty much just spent the time watching John Wick movies, so at least that was good. Well, you know you're in a cold place like Massachusetts when you get into a rental car and they have a snow scraper on the dashboard ready for you to go. But there's not going to be any snow keeping me from getting over to MASS MoCA and completing Operation Brava Redeption. But first, I'm going to take a little bit of a detour.
At the time of this trip, I was down to Nebraska, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Rhode Island as the only states left I hadn't visited. So I decided to take it off my list by making a stop in the capital city of Providence. I didn't have a ton of time, but it was long enough to make a visit to one of the highest rated breakfast spots in town, Amy's Place. A small cozy shop that specializes in unique breakfast sandwiches using bolo, a Portuguese-style bread that's said to be like an English muffin, but better. And as I bit into their hash-it-out sandwich, I think I could see their claim, as the bolo was really tasty. While I didn't really get into exploring the city, the small taste of it I got with breakfast and the short stroll along the Riverwalk area that has a really nice skyline view was certainly enough to convince me that I need to plan for a return visit in the future. But I'm on a mission for redemption and thus needed to make my way over to North Adams, which was a pleasant drive through the woods and into the mountains of central and western Massachusetts. Before long, I was seeing the familiar industrial area of town and arrived to MASS MoCA. One of my regrets from the previous stop here with Erica was not taking advantage of Bright Ideas Brewing, which is housed in one of the complex's buildings. This time, I wouldn't make that mistake again, and I even had the chance to enjoy the conversation and company of fellow BuzzBars member MZ, who made the drive up to join me. Among their beers I tried included the Big Daddy's Belgian Wit Beer, the Checks Out Czech Pilsner, which won my best pun award for the day, as it did in fact check out, and the Shadowlegs Dark Lager, which surprised me a bit. But the time was drawing near for the reason for this trip, so MZ and I made our way into the museum. While we didn't spend a lot of time looking at the various exhibits, it was neat to see some of the things that I hadn't from the previous time I was here. But I was certainly ready for my time to ride, especially after all the challenges that kept me from riding it before.
It's finally happening! It's finally happening! It's right there! It's right there! It might be happening! This might actually be happening! So MZ here is what we call an experienced rider of Brava behind us here, because I personally have not had this opportunity due to the previously seen incident that happened when Erica and I were here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I did it in December. The drop's pretty good. The helix is alright, but it's fun. Backwards parks are cool.
Not lying, I might geek out like a teenage girl at a Taylor Swift concert.
And out of all the reasons for previous failures, there was only one more to worry about. With that last reason off the list, all there was left to do was hop aboard and ride.
I did it! It worked! It worked! It didn't break this time!
Thank you for working this time. 3 or 4 canceled flights. 1 attempt to ride it when it broke down. And a snowstorm made it seem like this wasn't going to happen. But today, Operation Brava Redemption is a success.
And to celebrate, there'd be another beer at Bright Ideas Brewing. Although some food was certainly called for as well, since breakfast was a while ago. So I followed MZ's lead over to a place she discovered when she rode Brava, Jack's Hot Dog Stand. It's not a 5-star dining experience, but I gotta be honest, those chili cheese dogs hit the spot. And I also love that they offered their own locally made soft drinks, as I had Jack's Cherry Cola that had a bit of a sweeter cherry taste than what I'd expect from a Cherry Coke. And after one more round at Creative Ideas, MZ headed home, and I went back toward Boston for the night so I could catch the early flight back to Seattle. After sleeping like a baby, I made my way back to Boston Logan Airport for a flight that had less than half of the open seats the one over did, which probably helped to eliminate the chance of another dreaded weight balance concern.
I am so glad it's not a middle seat this time. It's going to be a much better flight home.
Having the aisle seat meant not getting to enjoy the views along the way, but I was a-okay with watching one of my favorites in the world of travel talking about a place that might be coming up later in the summer, making the time fly like we were until we landed back in Seattle. This was by far one of the most challenging roller coaster experiences to have, but it worked out in the end. A special thank you to MZ for coming out and spending the afternoon with me over a few beers, and also helping me out with shooting some of the footage for this vlog. I look forward to when we can catch up again at a Buzz Bars event in the future, or whenever our paths may cross once more. Thank you all for joining me on this look back at some coaster riding redemption, and I hope you'll come back next time, as it's off to Missouri to join some of mine and MZ's other friends for more Buzz Bar shenanigans here on Coasting with Culture. Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on various social media channels at CoastWCulture for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.